Testing, testing. 1, 2, 3. 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 Guys. Alright. What is up? Welcome to the After Work podcast. What is going on with my audio? Hold on. Thought I fixed that. Alright. What is up, guys? Today we have some unfortunate news. Charlie Kirk has been killed. Now, I know some of you may have seen my earlier video. We we talked about it earlier around, I want to say 5 o'clock. Not much was known at that time. And it was kind of a shock to me, and a lot of people were shocked as well. And I ended up not really having all my thoughts together. I kind of just spit out a bunch of stuff and talked about how I was going to get back into the political space. I've had a little bit more time to think about it, a little bit more time to look into everything that happened, more time to reflect, and so we are going to go through a bunch of the news stories, some of the eyewitness testimony, and some of the things surrounding what has been going on with the way people have been reacting and talking about this whole situation. I did want to correct myself from the earlier video. I said that this happened in Ohio. I was incorrect. This happened in Utah. And I think the reason that I thought it was Ohio for some reason was because I was mixing up the state Ohio with, I think, the campus is in the town of Oro or something like that. We'll see it somewhere in one of these stories. I know they did say it. So I wanted to correct myself. I did get that wrong, and just let it be known that I am making that correction now. So it very sad. So let's get into the first news story here. Charlie Kirk shot and killed at Utah event. Manhunt for shooter still ongoing. This was updated shortly after what happened. It goes on to talk about how at the Utah Valley University he was shot and they couldn't find the shooter. 2 people were taken into custody earlier, were not tied to the shooting, and were later released. We'll take a look at that. They, right after it happened, they were going building to building, trying to find the shooter and to evacuate people out. And so we have, let's see if I can find, is it this one or is it this one? I have, let me see. So Donald Trump tweeted this, or truthed it. I can't remember if it was on Truth or Twitter, X. The great and even legendary Charlie Kirk is dead. No one understood or had the heart of the youth in the United States of America better than Charlie. He was loved and admired by all, especially me, and now he's no longer with us. Melania and my sympathies go out to his beautiful wife, Erica, and family. Charlie, we love you. This is what Trump initially said. He did come out with a statement later, which we will listen to and talk about. But this was, I believe, right after it was released that he had passed away. I'm sure that you may have seen the video already of what happened. If not, I would not suggest going and watching it. It's very graphic, and I'm not sure everybody would be able to stomach it, especially if you liked him. It very messed up, honestly. He was talking about trans shooters and then got shot. He got shot in the neck, and I guess I can describe what happened. Um, it's probably not as visceral as watching it, though. I kind of regret having watched it a little bit, especially because I liked Charlie Kirk. Um, Basically, he gets hit in the neck right about here, and just immediately gushes blood, immediately seizes up, falls over, falls off the chair, and is immediately rushed off stage into a waiting SUV and taken to the hospital. Um, Based on where he was hit and how much blood there was, the moment I saw that video, I had very little hope that he would survive. Um, this is a huge assassination. And let's call it what it is. It's an assassination, okay? Charlie Kirk is a political activist. Um, and unless the authorities, unless the FBI, unless somebody comes out and finds a different motive, I find it hard to believe that this was not purely a political motivated assassination. Um, I, I do not see any other way that it could be anything else. Now, you know, this has become kind of a thing recently. A lot of political violence. Trump was attempted to be assassinated twice, possibly three times if we count another time. That is kind of up in question, but at least two times he was, his life was attempted on. Now, now we have Charlie Kirk being assassinated, and I'm wondering where it may go from here, unfortunately. But let's uh, let's talk about what. Let me just, before we go any further, let me just like show you the kind of person that he was behind the scenes, behind the political stuff. Okay, um, yes, he said things people didn't like. Yes, he was maybe controversial to some of those people on the left, but that doesn't take away the fact that he had a wife and kids, okay? And I just want you to take a look at this, and so you can get the insight into the kind of person he was off camera. Clearly a family man. Two beautiful children, a beautiful wife. I mean, this is what was destroyed. So I just wanted you guys to see that, because a lot of people a lot of people, when stuff like this happens, they only think of the person that this happened to in terms of the things that they said online, the things that they said that were controversial. And here's the thing, like, it's not like he was a dictator like Kim Jong Un, who starves his people, attaches his uncle to an anti-aircraft gun, and blows him away. Like, all this guy did was have differing opinions, and that's it. Now, of course, we don't know who actually shot him or why, but I mean, it's kind of obvious why. And people forget the humanity behind that a lot of the time. And so his wife and kids don't normally go to his events, but they were there. At least from all reports that I've seen, they were at the event when he got shot. And that is just god awful to see your husband, your significant other, or your father murdered right in front of you because he said things that somebody didn't like. You know, that's just a terrible thing. Um, okay, let me look. I believe CNN has 2 new live updates. I'm gonna look and see. Well, okay. So this update is just like talking about who Charlie Kirk was, and then FBI urges anyone with photos, videos of shooting to share files. We'll get into that one a little bit later. Let's see what. So let's go to the older stuff, so that way I can kind of take you down the road. So I guess we can go to 3 hours ago. Eyewitness react to Charlie Kirk shooting. Yeah, okay, let's pull that up.
Saw Charlie all of a sudden like go fall. His head kind of fell back, and blood was just gushing out of his neck. And then at that point, I kind of turned my head to look uphill because it felt like it came from up behind me. And then I saw everybody dropping, so I dropped down. And then the next thing you know, they said run, so we all took off running.
We heard two pops, and we ran. And a lot of people ran with us. When I was standing by the door, kind of overseeing what was happening, some people were standing there still taking videos. So I went back out to look over the railing to see like maybe someone just did some firecrackers, something like that. But more and more people were screaming, crying, dispersing super quickly from the scene. More and more people were headed Charlie's way. And yeah, just pure craziness. And then after getting back into the building, just tons of people flooding to go outside, get away from the scene.
Charlie hit the ground. We saw him fall, but it looks like the shot came and it hit, so he was facing us, and it looks like it hit the left side of his neck. To be perfectly blunt, it felt like so much blood came out of his neck immediately, and then we all took to the ground. I can't tell you almost what happened immediately after.
There was a handicapped person there that wanted a hat, and so I was like trying to get Charlie's attention, and he saw me and he came right over and handed this guy a hat, and it was really it's very kind. I'm just sitting there watching. I think, wow, he's taller than I thought he was, and he's so energetic, and he's so happy, and he's throwing these hats out, and the crowd is just going nuts, and it was a huge college crowd.
Yeah, so seems like a whole lot of chaos happened pretty much right after, and it's pretty terrible. If you have seen the video of the actual shooting, then you know where he was shot, right in the left side of the neck and all the blood coming out. So a lot of people thought that he was shot like directly from the front, but now there's new theories about where he was shot from. But the official story, let me see if I can find the actual map that they had. Do I have it? I could have swore I had it somewhere. Nope. Hold on, Give me 1 second. I thought I had it. Let me search it up for a minute and see if I can find it. Utah campus shooting. Let me see if I can find the image of where they said that the shooter was at. Okay, so there's this one. Is it one of those paid BS things where I gotta subscribe and crap? Because I hate when like the New York Times pulls up and they're like, oh, well, you have to subscribe to like view this photo, basically. Okay, so here, okay, so I found the photo. Sorry, I didn't realize that I hadn't had it bookmarked or anything. So Kirk was here, and they're saying that he was shot from here. But some people are saying that it seems like he was shot from this building over here. And we're not exactly sure yet. Wait, it was a single shot, one shot, and that was it. So whoever shot at him had to be fairly good enough with a gun to hit, a 200-yard shot. Which, if you have a good enough scope, that's not like the hardest shot to make, but it also depends on what you're shooting. Now, none of the news articles that I've seen have mentioned what he was shot with. So, not sure what caliber, not sure like what type of firearm was used or anything like that. But I don't think that he was shot from over here. Because the way that the tent was facing was straight this way. And if you got shot in the left side of the neck from this direction, it would not... the way it looked like the bullet came in the video was like this. Like this. And he went back and to the left, right? But if he was shot from this direction, it would have gone in slightly like from here into the back side of his neck, and it just... I don't think the shooter was here. I think they might have been over here. But we won't know that until we actually get like actual like documentation on the ballistics and the trajectory and all of that stuff. So we can't really know for sure yet. That's still to be seen, right? Now, we also have, let's see, so we just took a look at the map. We also have, shortly after the event happening, an MSNBC analyst, Matthew Dowd's commentary on this BS, okay? This guy said some pretty messed up stuff. So, let me see if I can find his actual statement. Apologize for Where is his actual statement? Because I want to read it like word for word. So Dowd was asked, this is the MSNBC anchor, Katie Tur asked Dowd about the environment in which a shooting like this happens, and Dowd responded with the following about Kirk. He said, quote, "He's been one of the most divisive, especially divisive younger figures in this, who is constantly sort of pushing this sort of hate speech or sort of aimed at certain groups. And I always go back to hateful thoughts lead to hateful words, which then led to hateful actions. And I think that is the environment we are in. You can't stop with these sort of awful thoughts you have and then saying these awful words and not expect awful actions to take place. And that's the unfortunate environment we are in." Basically, he said he said it's Kirk's own fault that he got shot. That's basically what he said, and he actually had to have MSNBC apologize. They issued an apology for it being insensitive and unacceptable. Um, President Rebecca Cutler of MSNBC issued an apology for his remarks during the coverage of the shootout, or during the coverage of the shooting. Um, During her breaking news coverage of the shooting of Charlie Kirk, Matthew Dowd made comments that were inappropriate, insensitive, and unacceptable. Yeah, I'll say, we apologize for his statements, as has he. There is no place for violence in America, political or otherwise. But I am happy to announce that due to the acceptance of cancel culture over the last 4 to 5 years, he has been fired. Uh, MSNBC fires analyst Matthew Dowd for unacceptable comments about Charlie Kirk. Thank you. Good. Thank you. Look, I'm not a proponent of cancel culture, typically, usually. In fact, not at all. I don't really like that people get fired for, saying one thing here and there that was a questionable thing. However, when people do not value a right such as free speech, when people tout cancel culture, when they support it, when they have been people who have applauded when other people that they dislike have been canceled, and then they themselves get canceled, I'm not going to defend them, because why would I? You got what you advocated for. Do I think he should be fired? Part of me says yes, simply based on the principle of equally applying the rules to everybody. Like, if you're gonna cancel culture a bunch of other people, then when you say stupid stuff, then you should get fired. But on a principled level, not so much. But again, I'm not gonna really lose sleep over it. Sure, I'm glad he got fired. Like, you should not be saying that crap, okay? You can't go around and tote that and then be upset. Now, moving on to, let's see, where was he? We had one guy, actually, right after the shooting took place. We had one guy. Let me see if I can find the video here. So we have this man here who was arrested at the scene. So this man here was arrested at the scene. He seems to be the first suspect that was suspected, and here they have him walking him out. Now, as far as I can tell, this guy was questioned and let go because he was not the shooter. However, something of note and something interesting is that he started shouting, shoot me, shoot me, shoot me, all this stuff, which made the authorities focus on him. I believe that this man was in on it, at least partially, or perhaps just took the opportunity to help the shooter. Because whether intentionally or unintentionally, this guy basically got the authorities to focus on him and let the shooter who was on the rooftop get away. Now, later on, they arrested a second man. Let me see, this man up here. They arrested this guy here. And it seems that they recovered a rifle. Which will be shown in a moment.
Do you see his gun?
Let me see, is there a... I think they bring it out here in a minute. I know.
That's his rifle.
So there's the gun. Now, I'm not sure if... Actually, let's go back for a minute. Let me see if I can get a better view. So it looks like some sort of hunting rifle. That's what it looks like to me. Like a bolt action rifle, and it actually kind of looks like it's got a suppressor on the front. But I can't be sure. It could just be a really big flash hider or something. But I don't know, man. That really looks like a suppressor, but I'm not sure. I can't really tell. This is like the clearest view that I've gotten of this. And the other thing is, I don't know if this is the man who the FBI is saying they have in custody, or if this is the second suspect that was then later released. No idea which one it is. But let's go to the FBI timeline, and we'll talk about the FBI timeline here. So, about 10 hours ago, which would be roughly about 12:30, closely monitoring the tragic shooting involving Charlie Kirk. Then, about 8 hours, 2 hours later, we're aware of the tragic... we're aware of the... That's something about Denver. I don't think that has anything to do with Charlie. The subject... for the horrific shooting today that took the life of Charlie Kirk is now in custody. Thank you. Then, 2 hours later, the subject in custody has been released after an interrogation by law enforcement. Our investigation continues, and we will continue to release information in interest of transparency. And then about 3 hours ago, they start asking for information, photos, video from the incident to help the FBI identify more. And that was the last thing that came out about 3 hours ago, so about 9 p.m. tonight. I have seen some reports suggesting that they have somebody in custody, but they also said that he was dressed in like all black. Now, I don't know if that is that guy that we just saw getting put into the back of the car with that hunting rifle, or if it is somebody different. That I don't know. I couldn't find any news stories that were talking about that specifically and talking about whether or not that was the person or not. So hopefully there will be an update tomorrow morning, and we'll be able to see whether or not that is or is not. So let's go to some more witness accounts. I want to hear from a couple more people. I think these are some of the first interviews because the Chiron says Charlie Kirk in critical condition, and that was before it was confirmed that he was dead. So I'm assuming that this is interviews from like directly after the shooting. So we're going to take a look at these here.
baseball team. Where were you in relation to Charlie Kirk?
Yeah, I was more towards the back left of the courtyard, kind of looking left side towards his tent. So.
And what did you see?
I saw, at one moment, me and my buddies were having a good time just listening to what was going on. And then we just saw it. We heard a loud shot, a loud bang. And then I saw his body actually in slow motion kind of fall over. So
there were others who said that they saw blood on his neck. Did you see that?
I think we were a little too far up for me to see blood, but I did see his body look sort of lifeless going down.
And when that happened, then what was the next thing that you witnessed?
There were people just rushing. I was doing all I could to help him out, get him out, and just bodies everywhere.
Was there anyone rushing the stage to help Charlie Kirk?
My focus wasn't really on the stage. It was more on.
You were worried about getting
out.
people out.
Yes, sir.
You were with some friends.
Yep.
You've had a chance now to process it, talk about it. What are you saying? What are your thoughts about what happened here?
America just needs God. I pray really hard for Charlie and his family, but in conclusion, America needs God, and we need to come to a resolution with all this stuff. So, and I think we can put our faith in God and will.
I hate ads. Really hate ads. So I'm gonna mute it while this stupid fucking ad plays. Yeah, no, I agree with him.
Better.
Was there pandemonium there?
It's a good way to describe it. Yeah, it was crazy. There was just bodies going everywhere, everyone running, fleeing the scene. So.
Any of you also there in the crowd? You were in the crowd? You're okay. What's your name?
I'm Maddox.
Maddox. Yeah. Okay. So we had Max tell us that he saw Charlie Kirk fall in what seemed like slow motion after the shot. What did you witness?
So I didn't actually witness that. So my head was down, so I was trying to listen to what the prompt was and what he was saying. So I didn't get the full vision of what was happening. I just heard the sound, the loud pop, and then I just saw everybody running. So
we were told previously that there was a question about gun violence. Do you recall that?
Yeah, that's what I remember hearing.
What was the question?
It was something along the lines of mass shootings in America. He was asking Charlie Kirk about that. And then Charlie Kirk was going to pick up the microphone, and then he got shot.
So he hadn't even responded to the question when he was
so.
This was not the first question of the event, right? How long had the event been going before the gunfire?
I'd say like 10 minutes, 10, 15 minutes.
And at that point, is there any yelling? Is there any screaming? Is there a good? Do you sense a good?
Okay, so I just want to say here, like, I feel like whoever shot him waited specifically for a firearm related question. Because if the event was going on for like 10 minutes before and this wasn't the first question, they could have shot him at any point. But they waited and they shot him during a gun violence question. I mean, you shoot a political figure on a gun violence question that seems 100% politically motivated. I just don't see any other way around it. Just saying. As for the way he was shot, I actually think that the shooter quote unquote missed. It's my belief that the shooter actually was aiming for his head. Because if you're to get a perfect neck shot like that would either take massive skill or for you to be lucky. Shooting someone in the head, on the other hand, from 200 yards would be a lot easier of a shot to make, though still kind of difficult depending on the sights that you have, but would still be quite difficult. But not impossible, like getting a shot directly where you need to on the neck. So I actually think that they were aiming at his head, and either the zero on the rifle was off, they didn't account for windage and bullet drop, or they didn't account for the difference between the 50-yard zero and the 200-yard. Like, that difference is, a couple inches. So I actually think that that's what happened, is they aimed probably for his head, and they missed, or, I guess task failed successfully, and they ended up hitting him in his neck, which I guess, like I said, still ended up doing what they were intending to do, but people are talking about this as if it was like a hitman, or or whatever. I don't think, like, do I think it was coordinated? Probably, yeah. But do I think it was like a professional hitman thing? No. I think it was probably just some crazy leftist. Because that's basically what happened with Trump. It was just some crazy leftist dude. Do I think it was coordinated? Yeah, it could possibly. I think that the police and the authorities and the FBI should probably take a look at that first guy who started yelling about, shoot me. The first guy that was arrested that they let go already. I think they should actually look at him a little bit more, because of the fact that it seems like it was intentionally done to allow the shooter to escape. I mean, it could just be opportunistic. Like, the guy probably could have just not liked Charlie Kirk and been like, hey, I'm going to make a distraction, so if there's a shooter that's trying to escape, I could hit. But, like, come on. Like, I feel like it was a little bit more planned than that. That's just my opinion. I have nothing to substantiate that. But I think that that type of question is something that is valid and worth looking into, in my opinion. I don't know. You guys tell me in the comments. I let me know if you think that that's something that should be looked at. I think it is, but, So let's see. The 11:49 p.m. NBC updated this. There's some bullet points. Let me look and see if there's any new updates. So right here it says, what we know, he was shot, killed at an event, shooter remained at large. President Donald Trump initially confirmed Kirk's death in a post on Truth Social. Videos show him recoiling after we talked about that. Cox described it as a political assassination. We already talked about that. 2 people were taken into custody earlier in the day, found that have no ties to the shooting. See, that one I disagree with. We just talked about that, and how I think that the first guy, at least, could potentially be, just based on the way that he acted, that he pretended like it was, him. A lot of vigils being held right now, seems like, which, it makes sense. A lot of people like Charlie Kirk. A lot of people, enjoyed hearing him. But then we also have the White House statement. Let me see if I can find what Trump said. So we've got the White House statement, what Trump said about the shooting, and let's take a look at that from President Trump.
To my great fellow Americans, I am filled with grief and anger at the heinous assassination of Charlie Kirk on a college campus in Utah. Charlie inspired millions, and tonight all who knew him and loved him are united in shock and horror. Charlie was a patriot who devoted his life to the cause of open debate and the country that he loved so much, the United States of America. He fought for liberty, democracy, justice, and the American people. He's a martyr for truth and freedom, and there's never been anyone who was so respected by youth. Charlie was also a man of deep, deep faith, and we take comfort in the knowledge that he is now at peace with God in heaven. Our prayers are with his wife, Erica, the two young, beloved children, and his entire family, who he loved more than anything in the world. We ask God to watch over them in this terrible hour of heartache and pain. This is a dark moment for America. Charlie Kirk traveled the nation, joyfully engaging with everyone interested in good faith debate. His mission was to bring young people into the political process, which he did better than anybody ever, to share his love of country and to spread the simple words of common sense. On campuses nationwide, he championed his ideas with courage, logic, humor, and grace. It's a long past time for all Americans and the media to confront the fact that violence and murder are the tragic consequence of demonizing those with whom you disagree day after day, year after year, in the most hateful and despicable way possible. For years, those on the radical left have compared wonderful Americans like Charlie to Nazis and the world's worst mass murderers and criminals. This kind of rhetoric is directly responsible for the terrorism that we're seeing in our country today, and it must stop right now.
All right, so yeah, statement from President Trump. I don't want to like do the whole entire statement just because like you got like another 2 minutes of it, and I'm pretty sure he just kind of goes over the same stuff. But like what he says is true though. Like the left loves to talk about how right-leaning people are like Nazis and racists and violent and this and that and this and that. But like most of the violence that we've seen this year and in like previous years has been left-leaning. I mean, this month alone we've had the judge who let the guy out after 14 arrests who killed the Ukrainian chick. We have the assassination of Charlie Kirk. We have pretty sure there was like a couple school shootings, and at least one of them was a trans shooter. Like these things have been happening, and then you know, I mean, if you want to talk about on the year, I mean, we have the two assassination attempts on President Trump, and then everything that happened this month. Like there's a lot of violence going on, and he's right, it needs to stop. But he was also right about the fact that Charlie Kirk was one of the people who was able to reach young audiences because he specifically went to college campuses to reach those younger people. Whether or not they were on his side or not, he enjoyed debating with those people and trying to get them politically active, whether or not they were on his side or not. And the fact that he was killed for his speech is disgusting. And some of the stuff that people have been saying, it's crazy that the same people who champion gun laws because gun violence is an issue are now supporting and like celebrating this act of gun violence. Like you can't be in favor of getting rid of gun violence and then also cheer when it happens. That those two things just don't mix. Quite honestly, Charlie Kirk, I think, on a level of like political influence, was probably like second only to like Donald Trump. Charlie Kirk is part of the reason that Trump got elected because of how much campaigning, how many people he was able to reach, and I think that's another reason that he was probably assassinated is because we're leading up into the midterms, and I think that the left is losing the culture war and they're losing their grip on institutional power, and because of that, they are lashing out. They are killing those that they think would prevent them from achieving their goals. And I just don't think it's going to work. As I said in the earlier video today, all it's doing is making him a martyr. All it's doing is exciting people on the right to come out and basically just do what I'm doing, get back into the political space. You know, I didn't really have much of an intention of touching this YouTube channel again for a very long time, and because of the events of today, I came back. And I think that this whole event, it has resulted in that kind of sentiment. But then if you look at where everyone is on that sliding scale, you know, I was in the center. Now I'm more right leaning. People who are on the left are like super far left, to the point where they're now assassinating people in the center and on the right. And people who were on the right are now far right because of this event. There are some people who were far right that are now moving all the way over into extremism, and I honestly think that we're going to see more political assassinations on both sides. I think that it's unfortunately not going to stop. And I just don't know where it goes from here. I hope that they catch this guy. But it doesn't seem like there are very many leads at this point. So, who knows? Anyway, guys, I will try to keep you updated on this event, and I will try to keep you updated on events as we go forward. You know, just keep watching, you know, keep hitting that notification bell, and, you know, let me know what you guys think of this event. How has it affected you personally? Because, like, I was very saddened by this news, and it got me really angry. You know, I'm not just angry that he died. Like, I'm also angry at where our country is going and, like, what this possibly means for the future. Anyway, guys, like I said, you know, like and subscribe, and I will see you in the next video, probably.